Do y'all remember when the macdaddy was in Edmonton and a veteran, a soldier, had asked him a question about benefits that would be given to veterans in Canada and how many veterans were taking the federal government and the macdaddy's government to court over the loss of benefits. They've served their country bravely, gallantly, without anybody asking them to. They've served their country, and the macdaddy's government has just taken away their benefit. The long-haired macdaddy's government, Justin Trudeau's government, has taken away many of the benefits that they depend on to be able to live in society and to function in society. The macdaddy's government has taken it away. And so they have had to take the government to court. And the soldier asked the long-haired macdaddy to his face, you've given money, $10 million to Omar Khadr and to other countries. And, what about our veterans? I fought for my country and Canada has turned its back on me. And the macdaddy said that the veterans are asking for more than the government can give them. They're asking for too much. That's what the macdaddy said to the face of this veteran. This guy who was injured in battle, and he said to him, the veterans are asking for too much. They're asking for more than we can give. Well, he was criticized up and down, left, right, and center for that garbage. He has given $10 million to Omar Khadr. He's given billions of dollars to Indonesia to help them fix their infrastructure. He's given, he's investing millions of dollars to try and rehabilitate ISIS soldiers who are coming back to Canada after fighting for ISIS, even though ISIS will use this as an excuse to gain access to Canada. They will say to their soldiers, you go to Canada, pretend that you are rehabilitated, and when the Canadians' backs are turned, you blow them up, you shoot them, you run them over, you do what you terrorize them. Now, and also the macdaddy has given an unknown amount of money. Well, he's basically pledged, his government has pledged to help Jordan build some road along their northern border, even though he doesn't know how much the road is going to cost. He says he will fix it. It's okay, but the veterans are asking for too much. Well, now, breaking news has come out. The Liberals, the Liberal government, the macdaddy's government, pledges an additional $12 million to rebuild infrastructure in Iraq. The link is right there on the comment section. The link where he said that the veterans of this country are asking for too much is on the comment section. And this long-haired bum, this long-haired piece of asswipe, Justin Trudeau, who sits like a little woman, he has no balls, and I can see why, his government pledges $12 million to rebuild infrastructure in Iraq. So our veterans, our brave, hardcore veterans, they're asking too much. They have to sue their government to get their benefits to just survive, to have a basic survival in their country after fighting and risking their life for this country. But their own government is taking away their benefits, many of their benefits, saying, oh, well, you guys are asking for too much. But then a few days later, they pledged an additional $12 million on top of the other millions of dollars they've given to Iraq to help them rebuild their infrastructure. And on top of that, billions of dollars to African and Middle Eastern countries to help them with their food crisis. So now we know where the macdaddy's loyalties stand, where his priorities stand. Other countries, ISIS soldiers, and Omar Khadr. And not to mention refugees who are getting free laptops, free dental care, free college care, And Canadians don't get any of that stuff. They get all that stuff. I mean, free laptops, free dental care, free college care, and the Canadians don't get any of that stuff. But the veterans are asking for too much. You know, he's actually right. The veterans are asking for too much because all the money is going to ISIS soldiers, other countries, and refugees, and of course illegal aliens who are getting free housing in Montreal. Meanwhile, a month ago, we had scores of homeless people in Toronto, born and bred in Canada, frozen like popsicles on the street. And they literally had to beg the city to open up an armory for them to keep warm. So let me read this article here. Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland, who is as dumb as a sack of rocks, says Canada is contributing another $12 million for reconstruction efforts in Iraq. She says the money will support the rebuilding of critical infrastructure, such as roads, bridges, power stations, hospitals, and government buildings in regions freed from the control of the Islamic State group. Well, let's think of it this way, Canadians. It would be one thing if Canada was actually participating in the fight against ISIS. But the moment the long-haired macdaddy became prime minister, he pussied Canada out of the fight against ISIS. Canada hasn't been fighting ISIS for years now. In fact, the world community actually banned, they snubbed Canada. They said, we don't want anything to do with Canada at any anti-ISIS meetings or anything like that because they were just disgusted with Canada. They pussied out of the fight against ISIS. So really, I mean, you could say, oh, well, this is guilt. Canada has nothing to be guilt. They haven't been fighting anything. They haven't been doing fuck all. Canada has done nothing ever since this macdaddy has been prime minister to stop ISIS. Nothing. Not one thing. Canada is not fighting ISIS right now. So this is just, I don't know what this is. I guess maybe he wants to, when the ISIS people come to Canada, when he brings them to Canada and all the refugees and everything, he wants to say, oh, well, I helped fix your country, so vote for me. It will also help law enforcement authorities and promote women's participation in rebuilding and reconciliation efforts. Let's just think of one thing. There is a hospital shortage in Canada. We have people who are having hallway health care in Canada. They have to be in the hallway because there's not enough rooms for them. We have people who are mentally ill who go to, the emergency room, psych emerge, in many hospitals across Canada, who have to wait 15, 16, sometimes 20 hours just to see a psychiatrist because there's not enough psychiatrists. And this has been a problem for a long time. But the macdaddy says, oh, let's build hospitals in Iraq. Let's build all this in Iraq. Let's build roads in Iraq. Let's build this. We have a subway system in Toronto. Get this. Toronto is the 4th largest city in all of North America. If Toronto was an American city, it would be the 3rd largest city in the United States. If Canada and America were one country, Toronto would be the 3rd largest city. And yet, you look at Toronto's subway system, and there's only, 3 lines? In this whole huge city, there's only 3 lines. The subway closes at 1 o'clock. 3 stinking lines. We could use that money to build more subway lines. They say, oh, we can't pay. I remember Rob Ford actually wanted to do that, actually. The brother of Doug Ford, who is running to be the next PC leader, who the Iranian nation has endorsed. And by the way, if you haven't bought your Ontario PC membership yet, which is only $10, what the hell are you waiting for? Get up off your butt and go down. There's a link down there where you can get your Doug Ford membership, your Ontario PC membership card. Only $10. Only $10. And you can vote for Doug Ford on March 10th. The deadline to get the membership card is February 16th. Doug Ford is the only conservative in this race. The Ontario PC party might try to rig the election, so you guys need to support Doug Ford. The more support he gets, the harder it will be for the elites to rig the election. Vote for Doug Ford. He's the only conservative out there. Christine Elliott, I call her Christine Wynn Elliott, is an employee of Kathleen Wynne. Kathleen Wynne created the Patient Ombudsman organization, and Christine Elliott became its first head. So she's just, how can she now try and say she wants to run for Kathleen Wynne when she's been working for Kathleen Wynne for a year now? And then Caroline Mulroney is just Patrick Brown without the dick. I mean, Patrick Brown was a terrible leader. He divided the PC party. He was very red Tory. He stabbed us in the back, and she's the same thing. So Doug Ford, everyone. And then Rod Phillips, nobody's ever heard of. I don't even think he's in there now. But Rob Ford tried to build and spread out the Toronto subway system, build more lines, and all the media and everyone was like, oh, how are you going to pay for it? Yada. Well, we have the macdaddy here right now who's giving $12 million, an additional $12 million to Iraq on top of the other millions he's given to Iraq. I mean, that money could, instead of giving all the money, instead of giving billions of dollars to Middle Eastern and African countries to help them with their food crisis, instead of giving billions of dollars to Indonesia to help them fix their infrastructure, instead of giving an unknown amount of money to Jordan to help them build some road, and instead of giving $12 million to Iraq to help them with their infrastructure, even though you had nothing to do with destroying their infrastructure in the first place because you pussied out of the fight against ISIS, Justin Pussy Ballish Trudeau, who sits like a little girl. Give that money to Toronto to help them build up their subway system instead of having 3 stinking lines in the 4th largest city in North America. So, continuing on with this article, Canada is working with the United Nations Development Program, Stabilization and Mine Advisory Group, which helps displaced people return home and support the clearance of unexploded munitions and improvised explosive devices. Freeland says the latest contribution is part of an international effort to improve security and stability in the Middle East. This government does not care about Canadians. I mean, you know what? I don't even care if they don't care about Canadians because Canadians voted for this train wreck. But what really disturbs me is this government doesn't care about our vets. They're the vets who risk their life for this government and for this country, which has stabbed them in the back. The long-haired macdaddy lied and said, we don't have enough to give our veterans. They're asking too much. All them veterans who keep suing my government, they're asking for more than we can give them. But then gives an additional $12 million fucking dollars to Iraq to help them rebuild their infrastructure. You are a piece of shit, Justin Trudeau, and anybody who supports this long-haired macdaddy right now, who is a Canadian, is a piece of dirt. You are a piece of shit. I spit on you. This is the Arana Nation, and if you continue to and you still support this long-haired macdaddy after all that's happened, as far as I'm concerned, you could jump off a bridge and I wouldn't care. This is the Arana Nation. If you haven't gotten your Ontario PC membership card, I am urging you to do that right now. There is a link at the bottom of the comment section. Click on it, and you will immediately be able to pay the $10 membership fee to get your membership. The deadline to get the membership is February 16th, but voting is on March 10th. Vote for Doug Ford. He is the only real conservative in the race. Christine Wynne Elliott works for Kathleen Wynne, working for an organization that Kathleen Wynne's government created. So really, she has no right to go against Kathleen Wynne when Kathleen Wynne is effectively her boss. And Caroline Mulroney is just a protege of Patrick Brown, and Patrick Brown was a terrible leader. And Rod Phillips, I don't even want to talk about him because nobody knows who he is. I don't even know if he's still in there. I don't even know what Rod Phillips looks like. This is the Arana Nation. Remember, the long-haired macdaddy says that veterans, Canadian veterans, are asking for too much and more than the government can give, but gives an additional $12 million to Iraq, on top of $10 million to Omar Khadr.